Jeff Darlington is the most uniquely talented person in the entire world.
Who am I to deprive society of this wonderful gift?
That's not even safe.
I could do it too.
Go ahead, Danny. Try and spin that.
Go ahead, Dan.
Knock it off, Jeff.
Sofia Vergara would love that on America's Got Talent. All right, so if Darlington is here, the feature is called Spin It Forward as we take a look at all the news around the NFL. Just spin something
Just a
quickly
circus
for us.
act. Am I not?
America
Am I
likes
not?
it, yeah. I mean, it's fun the way you spin things.
This basketball is actually trickier than most things. We can do anything. What do you
Yeah,
want?
give him one more. Give him. That's a heavy-looking book.
Oh, we can spin it.
Parenthetically, why do we have a book that says Cezanne on it? We have
There's a
art
lot
books in
there's a
this
lot
room?
of weird things around this studio.
For what possible reason do we have art books
Perhaps for me to spin.
in this studio? Okay, let us get into some business here. I got a bunch of stories for you here. I need you to give me the latest. CD Lamb. This feels like it should be the easiest contract to get done of all time, and yet it continues not to. What is the latest?
Well,
Dallas?
the latest is at the very least, Stephen Jones has made clear with the Cowboys that they have made a contract offer to CD Lamb, and they are waiting to essentially hear back on whether this is going to move forward. Now, CD Lamb remains out of camp at this point. We'll find out if he ultimately can get to a deal where he is. There is some optimism. Adam Schefter has shed some light on this. I think he feels like this is eventually going to get done. This does not feel like it's going to linger into the season. Then again, we didn't necessarily expect it to linger into training camp.
And I got another receiver situation. Brandon Ayuk holding in San Francisco. What's going on there?
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk right now, again, it feels like this is not going anywhere from what you hear from Kyle Shanahan. Now, they have two situations they're trying to remedy. Trent Williams also, their star tackle, is also a holdout. We have Brandon Ayuk as a hold-in. It feels like the Trent Williams thing is easier to settle because they can simply sweeten his deal. With Brandon Ayuk, it's either a trade or pay him, and right now the 49ers don't want to do either.
He wants to get paid top-of-the-market receiver money. He thinks he's that good. I've had a bunch of receivers in here tell me they think he could be that good in the right offense, but maybe he's not as valuable in that offense. And then, with the Jets, all this talk about Aaron Rodgers and their offense, Hassan Reddick still not in camp. What is the latest with him?
Well, interestingly with Hassan Reddick is that they never expected him to even miss any of training camp. They thought this would be done. The question, of course, is whether Reddick will come back on a sweetened deal as opposed to a long-term deal. When they made this trade, they knew this was a possibility. It's the reason ultimately why the Eagles traded him, because they saw the writing on the wall. Now, the Jets thought that they could get this remedied. They still have not. Outside of a long-term deal, is it a situation where you could say throw him another $2 million on top of his contract and get him in-house? That feels like it's something that could have already been done by now. By the way, he's, by missing training camp, $50,000 fines per day that are not refundable.
Right.
He's not getting that money back. He already missed $500,000 because he missed the minicamp.
Yeah, this has cost him a great deal of money, which suggests it's going to go on a very long time. Once again, Jeff's ability to spin things is remarkable.
Anything with centrifugal force screening.
Yeah, you should work in politics. Your spin is so good, actually. Okay, now we got to get to this, all right? So Aaron Rodgers. The other day, the coach of the Jets, Robert Saleh, said, well, Rodgers is not going to play in the preseason. Okay, that seems reasonable. Then they asked Aaron Rodgers about it yesterday. Listen closely to what he said in response.
Where do you stand on playing in the preseason?
Yeah, I mean, that's Robert's decision. I've never told him I don't want to play in the preseason. It was news to me yesterday when he said I wasn't going to play in the first two, but we hadn't even had a conversation yet about that. So if he wants me to play, I'll play.
Just relax. Just relax.
No. I know what this is. It was news to me when Robert said this publicly. This is retribution, Orlovsky. This is Rodgers did not like when Robert Saleh said that his trip to Egypt was, quote, unexcused, which, by the way, isn't the word,
Sure.
but okay, let's not quibble over that. He did not like it. He felt that Saleh sort of threw him under the bus. Aaron, I think if there's one thing we've learned about him, he doesn't take those things lightly. He doesn't tend to just sort of be like a duck and let it roll off his back. And so this, to me, was Aaron getting his little shot back, and I just don't know exactly what that means. Dan, are you seeing it differently?
Yeah, one, don't No, unexcused isn't a word. 2, have no idea what centrifugal force is. And 3, I think it's water off your back, not roll off your back like a duck.
Whatever it is.
Greeny, this doesn't matter. None of this matters in this situation. If the Jets win and he plays well, no one will care. If they lose or struggle and he does not play well, then everybody is going to find all these little moments to point at and say, this is the reason why. This is also the reason why, Greeny, that I have said, if it doesn't go well, like legit well, this goes down as one of the worst trades in the history of the NFL. Not because of what was given up, but because of the expectations, because of what the roster looks like, because of people like you are a Jets fan going, finally we have a chance. You guys aren't thinking Super Bowl. And so I don't think that there's this power struggle going on in New York. I think that Aaron Rodgers is the Bill Bellamy of the Jets, essentially. Like he's the offensive coordinator, he's the head coach of the offense, and Robert Saleh is the head coach of the defense. And as long as they win, everything will be fine.
Would you hang around there all the time? What? Why are you laughing?
I want to say this.
Yeah.
You know we have our shindig.
Yes.
That Monday night.
Yes, we have our shindig.
Just play the 49ers.
Yeah, yep.
If Aaron Rodgers goes out to the Bay Area and balls out, are we going to be talking about this?
No, of course not.
We're not going to be talking about this.
The question I'm asking is, does this have an impact on that? Does it suggest that is there a little tension there? And if there is that a problem?
No, like Aaron, it's just Aaron being Aaron.
Not towards Saleh, but he goes, thanks to Eric for sending me that. Eric is the PR guy.
Right.
He's basically saying, I had to get this news from the PR guy, not from the head coach telling me myself. It is clear that there's some issue here. Now, I will take your side in this. When Tom Brady was playing for Bruce Arians.
With Bruce Arians, exactly.
That relationship absolutely got to the point where Brady didn't have the respect for Arians that he originally did when he first got there. Had they lost that first year and did not win the Super Bowl, which they did, which is a massive undertaking, I don't think Bruce Arians is the coach the following year. Eventually, Bruce Arians was not the coach. So, yes, wins can mask all of it. But the second it goes bad, the second, do we really think that Aaron Rodgers is going to keep this thing together the way that Tom Brady did in Tampa?
No, because it all blow up. Like the GM would be gone, the head coach would be gone. Aaron will still be there, but all the other players will be wiped out. All the other pieces in this whole thing will be wiped out.
Go ahead, Dan.
Wins and losses, I'm with you, Wood. If they don't win and win relatively big this year, I'm with you. If it starts to go sour a little bit, Jeff, and there's a difficulty moment or they go through a rough patch, I do think that Aaron will keep it together because we have data and evidence that he is capable of that. Like in season, if they go through a 2 or 3 game losing streak and they're struggling, I do think that Aaron can keep that together along with Robert. But to your point, if they don't win well this year or win relatively big this year, yeah, then there's obviously the reality of the job is that changes will be made.
And that to me is the massive question, and Dan believes it. And the question is, will it happen? Because that Bucs team with Tom Brady, not to keep making the analogy,
No, it's a good analogy.
No,
It is a good
midway
analogy.
through the season, that was a dumpster fire. It was falling apart. And when they went into the bye week, Tom took a step back and got with Bruce Arians. In fact, they were supposed to go golfing together, but they couldn't do it because of some COVID rules. They were going to get together and they were going to figure it out. Instead, they got in a room and they hashed it out. Will Aaron Rodgers do that? He wasn't really willing to do that in Green Bay with Mike McCarthy back in the day.
He has to,
He just
Jeff.
threw his hands up. He has to, but will he?
Yes, he knows what's on the line. I mean, he knows the expectations when he became a New York Jet, the attachment to his name, the legacy, where he sits in the pantheon of rankings and all of that stuff. He knows he has to deliver a Super Bowl, or this and the asterisk next to his name will never go away.
I think that he doesn't like Saleh. This is what I mean. At the end of the day, I don't think it's that complicated. I think that I look, he strikes me as a guy that you cross me, you're dead to me, right? I mean, look, I don't know him that well. So people, I'm just talking about what I see and hear.
That is
the bottom line of it is the second Saleh said that. If you go back, find the tape. The second Saleh said, well, it's an unexcused absence and all that kind of stuff. I immediately said, why is he doing that? Why in the world would you do that? Why wouldn't you just say, oh, it's no big deal, we all knew it was coming, and everything is fine? Because the minute everything isn't fine, there's no way in the world Aaron's going to say, you know what, maybe I was kind of in the wrong here. Like, that just was never on the list of things that might happen.
We got to get to the games.
Get to the games.
We got to get to the games.
Kick the ball off.
Gosh, we got to get to the games here.